David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm here today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going, Bill?
It's going well, thank you. Been out, got my walk in. My hair's a mess, but hey, you'll just
So I'm
have to live
curious.
with it.
It says here the EVWorld.com founder and editor-in-chief, I'm ill.
What? I
At
have
the
no
bottom,
idea.
underneath your name, it says founder and
I have
editor-in-chief. And then what does it say after chief? It looks like it says I'm ill.
I have no idea what that's doing there. I'm not ill. Well, hey, you might ask some people about that. Wow, how do we change that? Or we just leave it for the fun of it?
You can edit yourself if you click on your picture. Let me see. Oh, maybe you can't. Maybe you have to do it in the previous screen before we come on. But that's just, it just says I'm ill. And I'm like, what?
I have no idea.
That was there the other day too. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Old people talk about EVs.
Well, it's so tiny on my screen here, I can't see it. So, no,
that's
I'm
all
fine.
right.
Thank you.
Oh, and happy birthday, by the way. What was your birthday really like Tuesday or?
Yeah, it was on Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Okay.
I turned. Yeah, I won't go into that. I got older by a year. I don't look 100 like 100 do like Jimmy Carter though, do I?
No,
because I'm not. Good for him.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So I want to start off today talking about Tesla superchargers, and we're going to talk about. So this is something that's been quite unique because when somebody's ever asked me about buying an EV, about what's a safe choice, I always say Tesla because you got the Tesla supercharging network. Yeah. And I said, if you're going to be disappointed with a brand, it's going to be something other than Tesla. Okay, you're probably not going to be disappointed with Tesla, but Tesla's opened up their network now to so many other brands. I wanted to cover this. And
it's pissing off Tesla owners.
Yeah, a little bit because there's more usage at the things. Now, if you are a non-Tesla EV owner and you're equipped with CCS1 port, you need an adapter to be able to use a supercharger because the Tesla chargers use the NACS plug. Some of the manufacturers are offering free adapters. Others are asking for money. There are also adapters made by third party, but they may not be OEM approved. First of all, we're going to start out with Ford. So Ford has the E-Transit, which is a commercial vehicle, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and the Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, there was a Ford Focus electric car, and also there's some plug-in hybrids Ford's made. Yeah. None of them can use it. Okay, because they can't be DC fast charged.
Those are like well over a decade old now.
They're certainly older vehicles.
Yeah.
Then when we go to GM, and this gets kind of interesting because there's starting to be a lot more GM EVs. So, well, actually, we're going to start with Chevy. There's the Bolt EV, the Bolt EUV, the Equinox, the Blazer, the Silverado, but not the work truck if owned by fleet customers.
I'm sure it's coming.
There's something called the Chevy Bright Drop. Can't use the Tesla supercharger. I don't even know what that is.
Well, that's their panel van.
Is that the panel van? Okay. Yeah. So it only includes retail-oriented vehicles, not commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
The Chevy Spark EV and the Chevy Volt cannot be recharged at Tesla superchargers. The Volt was technology. Older tech. Then we got from GMC. We've got the Sierra EV and the Hummer EV, pickup and SUV. And then when we move on to Cadillac, there's 4 Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got the Lyriq, the Optiq, the Escalade IQ, and the Celestiq.
Yeah. The last one, custom, or how they would say in Britain, what's that word that they use? Oh, God,
bespoke.
Yeah, bespoke. That's a bespoke car. I think it'll set you back 250,000, something like that.
Yeah, that Escalade IQ, I think starts in the high above 150, I think.
Probably.
So, yeah, it's certainly up there. Here are some upcoming non-Tesla EVs available to use the network starting. Okay, so Kia, starting in January of 2025, be able to do the Niro, the EV6, and the EV9. Here's a brand I'm not familiar with called the Afeela, Afeela, and
that's Honda, isn't it?
Yes, Sony and Honda combined.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep.
Let me see. BMW, Mini, and Rolls-Royce EVs sold in the United States and starting in 2025 will come with an NACS port from the factory next year. No official word on when an adapter will become available for the CCS1 equipped vehicles. 2000 Genesis 2024. The Genesis is getting access later this year. And like Hyundai and Kia, upcoming Genesis EVs will be fitted with an NACS port right from the factory. So that's a good deal. Honda EVs that are already on sale in the US feature the CCS1, and the company said customers will gain access to the supercharger network next year with the help of an adapter. Honda's upcoming EVs will have an NACS port from the factory. So that's kind of nice. We've got a few other brands here, though.
Yeah.
We've got, well, we mentioned Hyundai. Jaguar in 2025. Now, Jaguar is stopping production of all of its current models and focusing on the launch of its all-electric lineup, which will start rolling out in 2026. So they're doing some kind of pause. The British automaker says starting from a clean slate. Now, they've really just had, as far as I know, just the I-Pace electric crossover.
Yeah.
And
it's been,
it's kind of lukewarm. It's getting an adapter for use. The I-Pace had some troubles. That was kind of like the Chevy Bolt. It had issues. Let's see. Doesn't mean you might not get a great deal on one, though. If somebody's out there looking.
Well, and remember that's what who is it, Waymo, or what is it? I think it's Waymo is using them down in Phoenix for their self-driving taxi service.
Oh, they're using Jaguars?
Yeah, they're using the Jaguars.
Oh, wow. Okay. Lexus owners will gain access in 2025. Current owners will get an adapter. New models will be fitted with an NACS port. Lucid, let's see. The Gravity SUV is going to come out with one from the factory with the port and adapters for the Lucid Air owners, and then they'll start including them in 2025. Mazda doesn't sell an EV anymore in the United States after the demise of the MX-30. That was the demise. I mean, the demise was when they first made it. I mean,
it was. It was
a bust.
At all.
No, but it will launch a new battery-powered car here in 2025 that will get the NACS port. Mercedes-Benz says it'll start having adapters. It'll offer charging adapters to current EV owners by the end of the year. Hasn't happened yet. U.S. market EVs will get the port as well from the factory. Nissan said drivers of the Ariya would get an adapter this year, and that next year it'll have an NACS port. The Leaf can't use the Tesla supercharger network as there is no manufacturer-approved CHAdeMO adapter for it. The CHAdeMO, but the thing is, the Leaf really was designed to be a local car. They've sold over 1 million of them, but they never really put much range on any of those. So, it really was designed to be more of a commuter car.
It was what, 42 kilowatt hours, something like that, I think. And it was, the CHAdeMO was its answer to a fast charger. And it just was a system that, kind of like when we had the old Beta versus Sony, debate. It was the Sony. Or the VHS versus Beta. It was
this surplus deal I've had on level 3 charging stations. They're the ABB brand, and they have a CHAdeMO as part of about half of them. So they generally have two attachments, and one's CCS one and the other is generally CHAdeMO.
Yeah.
So I mean, most vehicles that aren't Tesla all have one of those too, right?
Either one or the other, yeah. Pretty much, Nissan pretty much were the only one that introduced the CHAdeMO system. It just never got beyond Nissan.
Okay, I didn't realize it was just the one vehicle.
Yeah.
All right, so what's really amazing about this list, and there's still more to go, is that think about 10 years ago how many EV brands there were on the market. I mean, this is a stunning list, and this is only covering the United States.
Oh yeah, I mean wow. What was the latest number? I saw something like 250 models now of EVs. It's like crazy. Yeah. And when I started EV World, that was how many were available, right?
And none of those probably still exist.
No, well, the RAV4, I think.
It was an EV back in the 90s?
It was EV back in the 90s. Yep.
Wow.
It was a gas powered, but they had converted over to an EV. And that's about it. The Ranger, the Chevy S10 EV.
There was a Ford Ranger EV back in the 90s?
Yeah, there was a Ford Ranger EV, yeah. In fact, Ford and another company that was going to partner with Ford were going to take that chassis and make a postal vehicle out of it. You know, we've been having this long drawn out struggle about how to replace the old Grummins postal vehicles with something new and more modern. And that was the first attempt to tackle that potential market was to take the chassis of the Ranger EV and make a postal vehicle out of it.
Wow. You know, it's really so much of this was so premature. I mean, they were good ideas. And then it really took Musk making a nice looking EV to make things work.
Yeah. And speaking of, we talked about this before going on air. If you're interested in some really interesting insights into Tesla and Elon Musk, I have posted a link to a YouTube video with Rohan Patel, who was a VP at Tesla for like 7 years, something like that. And so if you go on the EV World website, you go over to where our YouTube videos are posted. Just below that, there's a search box there, and just below the search box is the RS stream, which is where you can get all of our news feeds, via the RSS system. I posted that link. It's an hour and 42 minutes long, but is it packed with fascinating information that I didn't even know about? And I've been covering this thing for over 20 years, about Tesla and about the struggles they had, and it's just fascinating. So if you're looking for little insights into like, for example, they just started talking about, as I was finishing my walk, they're just starting about why has Elon shifted from being a sort of Democrat-focused, politically, over to more now a Republican right-wing Musk focus. Why has he done that? So they're speculating onto why he's doing that. So it's a good listen if you got driving back and home for to work, or you're out jogging or whatever. Take a listen to it. I downloaded the audio version only, so I'm not watching the video. But it's fascinating. It's a fascinating story. If you want some insights into that company and how it got to where it is and where it is now and where it's going.
We'll talk about some of that after the show. There's some of that I won't discuss on the show.
A little too politically sensitive, are we?
A little too politically sensitive. Yeah. So Polestar is another one here, and they're doing an adapter this year and adding the charging port next year. Stellantis said at the beginning of 24 it would add a charging port on 2025 models. Adapters will be offered during that transition, but currently we don't know what cars are going to get the NACS adapter. We have Subaru. Now, Subaru only has the Solterra, which is really the Toyota Busy Forks. Owners of the Solterra will get access to the Tesla supercharging network next year, and the upcoming American-made 3-row electric crossover, also developed with Toyota, will get the NACS adapter instead of the CCS one plug. So there's a new Toyota Subaru development for a 3-row electric crossover for Subaru that we haven't discussed that before. So Toyota is going to give a charging adapter to Busy Forks owners and then add the port for 2025. Then we've got Volkswagen. Audi, Porsche, Scout Motors, and Volkswagen sold in the US will include a charging port next year. Charging adapters for older car will be available at dealerships, but the timeline hasn't been disclosed. And our finally getting to the last company is Volvo. CCS1 equipped vehicles such as the EX40 would get access to the NACS adapter this year, but that hasn't happened yet. Next year, they'll have a port on the vehicles.
Now, go ahead.
I'm just saying that is a lot. I mean, you think about it, because we'd previously talked about, Rivian and Lucid were the first ones really to switch over. Then you had Ford jump on the bandwagon, but Ford had to do something. They were getting so much bad publicity from that one Canadian Ford Lightning owner. I mean, that story just, about the guy having to be, trying to take a trip and having to get towed and all that, it just was not a good look for Ford. And so they had to do something. But you look at all these other companies, it's really sad to kind of see this. The charging business is kind of a rough one. And this is going to transition to kind of thing. I know a few people who make money in the charging space, but they have a captive audience. And the restaurant business, it doesn't matter how good your food is. The number one key to success in the restaurant industry is access to a starving crowd. If there's enough hungry people around, you will be successful in the restaurant industry. Okay.
Location.
Right. And so one of the things that in the EV space, most of your cars have eaten dinner before they go out. Okay. It's because people charge at home. So they don't need to go out and feed the car while they're out for the most part.
Right.
But in certain situations, so I know some people who've put level 2 charging stations in apartment complexes. Okay, they've worked out deals with apartment complexes to put in their own charging stations. They have a captive audience. Okay, so they're making some money on those, and they're doing okay with those. I've seen some other situations where it basically has to do with placing in multifamily and being a third-party vendor. Those plans seem to kind of work because the people want convenience, and it's a better setup for them. But I had a listener forward this article about a company called Enel X, Enel X Way, North America. They're shutting down, and effective October 11th. So that's in 8 days. And
after
about a year and a half.
Robo-taxi reveal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's on the 10th. Yeah.
Okay. So they had plans to add 10,000 DC fast chargers in North America by 2030, and they've done it an about face. They sent out a text message through their app. Enel X-Way USA will cease operations on the 11th. EXW app will be discontinued in US and Canada. Customer support discontinued. See juiceboxnorthamerica.com. So that's kind of surprising.
That's a Dutch company, Juicebox.
It's one of these things. We know that we need charging. There has to be chargers. There has to be infrastructure. It is a difficult business to provide, and especially to provide it standalone. Now, Tesla has somehow, they realized that they weren't going to be able to sell electric cars if they didn't have a network. Mm-hmm. So in their fundraising, they included money and they put out their own network. Now, what's interesting is that In their case, they're almost always in supermarket parking lots. They are not making any other residual money off of those facilities. Okay. They make money off the charging in some cases, and they're going to make money off all these companies we were just talking about. But on their own customers, shoot, a lot of them have like free supercharging for life. A lot of the vehicles that were sold in 2020 and before came with free supercharging. And so it's kind of an interesting piece, and that all these charging companies, they're not in the EV business like Tesla is. Okay. Right. So they don't have the same vested, interest there. Now, if you were a gas station and you added a couple of superchargers so that, you can continue having that, because in the convenience store business, they only make a little bit of money off the fuel. The idea is you sell the fuel cheap enough that enough people stop, they come into your store, they buy milk, cigarettes, booze, lottery tickets, all things I don't buy, I don't buy, but exactly. I'm just saying that's where people go for that. And they sell a lot of snacks. Now in our market, we have some luxury gas stations. We've got like Quick Trip. Oh my God, you can go into Quick Trip. They sell all kinds of prepared foods. They even sell healthy foods in there. If you're on the East Coast, you can go to a Wawa, and Wawa is the same way. They have all kinds of prepared foods. They have healthy food choices. There's a lot more things now to a gas station than just going and buying a slushie.
Yeah. So what's the main, when you see there's a particular brand of convenience store service station here in the Midwest, they never advertise, I've never seen, we sell gasoline, come into us and so on. What they're selling is their pizza.
Right.
It's always about their ads are always about their pizza, which is really interesting. I guess it works for them.
Casey's sells a crap ton of pizza. I mean, they all have pizza kitchens right in the thing. The pizza's high volume, high profit sales. But what I'm getting at is, if those places have charging stations, they actually are nice enough that somebody would go there to charge, because you can actually have some halfway decent food choices. It's not like a lot of other gas stations where you just go in and anything you spend money on inside's probably a poor life choice. Okay. Not trying to just criticize anybody who likes slushies or, stopping for something like that. But really, most gas stations have no good decisions for going. And now I'm a health nut. Okay. And this is really bad. The only thing I pretty much buy if I go in a gas station is, a brand called Fairlife protein shakes. Okay. That's about it. It's really, kind of funny, because there's just not a whole lot. I might buy some nuts. That'd be the other thing. But it's just really, there's not something there for me. But I'm just saying that most of these places, though, that have tried to get in the charging business have tried to be standalone like Tesla. And I think that's a tough business, because it's really they don't have the starving crowd. If they could keep the units busy at least 12 hours a day where they're all being used, kind of thing, they'd be making money. But the problem is, it's just not enough, and the machines break down far too often for the amount of legitimate use they actually get. So I just thought this was
so you don't expect Dave to be building any supercharging stations out there anytime soon.
Yeah, but I do have superchargers for sale.
You do have superchargers.
I do have superchargers for sale. Right. Yeah, I've got a 75% discount on superchargers that are brand new from a company called ABB that somebody didn't take delivery of.
That's a major European electrical manufacturer. So
we're talking
good quality equipment.
Yeah, we're talking a $50,000 discount on each unit. It's a big deal. Anyways,
does EV World get any of that?
Well, yeah, it would help supplement our show a lot.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
It would. It would. It's just a matter of finding the right folks out there. I'm just saying, it's. I like the idea, like with Nevi, where they're doing the money for the states and all that, and the states are putting in chargers, but they all want a contractor to come in and put that stuff in. I just think it's a tough for a private business to be in that space. And now, in my opinion, Tesla is sort of the Sauron of the charging industry. That's one charger to rule them all.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's kind of what it is. I don't, at some point there's probably going to be an antitrust thing on supercharging.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, you're talking about the convenience store. I posted an article yesterday on the website. This lady down, I think she's in Oklahoma or somewhere, and it was the article was, it's an opinion piece run in the Kansas City Star. And she is talking about, well, we have a really convenient solution to people fretting about making trips, long distance trips. And what's her solution? Convenience store chargers.
That's funny.
And I thought, I have to post this because that's true what she's saying, and we just discussed that. But it's not like it's a new idea because it's being done, right? People are doing it. You got the BPs and you got the who is it? Somebody.
Shell's gone big in it.
Well, yeah, Shell, but I'm thinking of Starbucks, right? They've got their Starbucks from, I guess, Portland or Seattle or wherever it is, all the way to Salt Lake City. Every one of those has has fast chargers in them. So it's a good idea, lady, and I commend you for that. Hey, we're talking about it here. It's being
a lot of times I look at a lot of things from the economic benefit of the organization putting in the charger. Who does it make sense to have a charger? Paneras make a lot of sense to have a charger. Yeah. But your Casey's and Quick Trips and your Wawas, they all make a lot of sense to have a charger because they actually have, and some of the come and goes, they have outdoor seating. And they're just different things where you can have a decent experience that's not just going into a greasy gas station or something like that.
Right.
I'm just saying that there's a different level of experience because those places are operated and they're very clean. I mean, if you look at some of the truck stops in the United States, some of them are incredible. I mean, you go in them and they're very clean. They're huge operations. Yeah. Huge operation, just the sheer number of vehicles and customers they're serving at a given time, but they'll have multiple restaurants besides all kinds of shopping, the showers. Some of them have a gym for the truck drivers, things like that. I'm just saying there's a lot of places where you can have destinations for people who are charging. I don't think now Tesla has all of theirs in strip malls. Anytime I've ever stopped to charge, I've usually gone either into the grocery store and picked up some things, or I've gone to one of the restaurants and eaten that's there. Right. And the charging's always, if you eat, the car's always done before you're done eating. So it's pretty much a non-issue on wasting time. I'm just saying that you've got to have that kind of experience though with the charger. And the problem is, if I own a gas station and I have people coming and charging, then I have them as a captive coming in and spending other money in my place while they're taking up that charging lane, right? Yeah. Whereas these other folks, like this Enel, they don't have that captive extra money coming in for providing that service. Because the gas station itself, like I said, when you own a gas station, depending on your contract with the oil company, you may just make a 3 cent per gallon pass through. And that may be all that location is getting is a 3 cent per gallon pass through for selling that gas. The thing is, you want as many customers coming as possible through that, coming into your store and spending money.
Coins rolling, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's different. I think a lot of people think they're killing it at the gas station. I'm not saying that Exxon and companies like that aren't killing it selling fuel, but there's a whole lot of levels. You have these jobbers and other people in the chain making money, and the gas station itself isn't generally making a ton on that. You have exceptions like in the what you call it, like the truck stops. They're buying their own fuel. They may even have their own refineries and distribution networks and all that. Yeah, I'm just saying, when you get big enough, you've got different economies of scale, and they're making more. But I'm just saying, your basic ones don't make crap ton of. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on, and let's talk about Volvo trucks. Now, we haven't had a discussion on big trucks in a while, and this is considered to be sort of a breakthrough according to Volvo Trucking.
Right.
And one thing, the Volvo trucks and Volvo cars are not the same company anymore. No. So anyways, here's a Volvo EV truck. And
the breakthrough here is that they have taken and increased, they basically doubled the range of the truck. The previous model had a range of, I think it was about 180 miles, something like that. 300.
Now they're at 360.
Yeah, now they're at 360. So they're making progress. Remember, we've had this discussion. Remember, some time back we talked about there's a segment of the distribution market that is long haul. That's those big semis that go racing here past us on Interstate 80, and they're going from a distributor on the West Coast to a operation on the East Coast or in Chicago or somewhere. So those guys are doing 1,500 miles, 2,000, 3,000 miles. Obviously, they want a truck that'll take them without having to make multiple stops. But the majority of the distribution that is done in this country, at least, is within basically the short to medium haul market. So there's a truck that, there's for example, Pepsi distributor over here what are they doing? They just load up with their Pepsi product or whatever they're distributing in addition to that. And they're running out and, their guys are offloading at, supermarkets and things of that nature. So they don't, they'll do 100, 200 miles in a day. Something like the Volvo truck is perfect for them. And there are others like that, bread delivery services, although they don't tend to do semis. They try to do larger panel vans and things.
Right.
But they're all basically within a 200-mile radius. And we've got trucks now that will do that. And that's an important segment of the market. So, it's not a breakthrough in the sense that, they've got trucks that'll now do 1,000 miles or something, but it is an important step forward for a segment of the market.
Well, one of the things here is people generally think of just the long haul trucking, and there's so much of it of people who just are doing same day. They're back home at the end of the day, and that's such a big part of it. Another thing that's nice about that is those trucks are going to be taking the 800-volt chargers. So as there's more of these 800-volt chargers available for long haul trucks, there's going to be a whole lot more 800-volt chargers available for consumer vehicles as well. And that 800-volt charging network, folks, is kind of the big breakthrough. People talk about, they take too long to charge or whatever, that the 800-volt chargers on a car add 40 miles per minute of charging. Yeah. Now, is that going to pull on the grid? Yes. Is there going to be needs? That's going to be like a 10-year plus rollout on 800-volt chargers? Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not going to happen overnight, but everything about the EV industry keeps getting better and better and better. It is an immature market, and it's going to take a long time before the whole industry matures. And when it does mature, people are going to be like looking back and saying, what was so bad about EVs again?
Yeah, exactly. It's inevitable, and everybody you talk to, unless they just have a particular financial incentive not to see any progress, everybody you talk to, says, hey, this is the future. If you listen to that interview with Rohan Patel, he goes into that. He said, this is where we're going. And if America doesn't wake up to that fact, he says the Chinese are going to eat our lunch. The legacy car makers, they might as well, kiss their patooties goodbye, because the Chinese have a plan that they rolled out in like 2015, a 10-year plan. And they're not only on plan, they're ahead of the plan. And the plan is ambitious, it's farsighted, and we need to be paying attention. So it is the future. Regardless of what certain short-sighted, bought-off politicians say, it is the future.
It's funny. This article goes on to say that Volvo is also, besides battery electric, they want to do fuel cell electric, combustion engines that run on renewable fuels like green hydrogen, biogas, or hydrogenated vegetable oil. Sure. I guess, if there's uses for that, it just gets to be a lot of different things. This is separate from Volvo, but a separate Swedish trucking company is in the process of developing hybrid solar-powered trucks covered in solar panels. Now, I don't know how much, the energy pull that a truck has, you probably, even if the trailer was completely wrapped in solar panels, you're probably going to get 10 miles per day out of that. It's still not going to make it an Aptera, because one of the beauties of the Aptera is it's lightweight.
Really lightweight,
yeah, it's really lightweight, super aerodynamic, and it's wrapped in solar panels and gets 40 miles in a day. I just don't see a tractor trailer, and I think 10 might be optimistic. It might be more like 5. But I'm just saying that I thought that was kind of I'm not saying it's not a good idea. It sounds good on paper or whatever, but in the practical sense, and we talk about this a lot. There's a lot of ideas that I see that they sound kind of cool, but practically, do they really make a difference? I don't know. But let's talk about so Yamaha, which I think of being a manufacturer of guitars, tennis rackets, and a few other things. They also make motorcycles.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, it says here.
Did you know that they do super high power efficient internal combustion engines? That was news to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they make the Lexus LFA's 4.8 liter V10, the Lotus Exige. This is a Toyota powered Lotus Exige to the V6 to the original Ford Taurus SHO. Yamaha Engineering has been responsible for some of the most exciting power plants in the automotive world. They also make keyboards.
Yep.
Yes. Anyways, and I think when they're saying keyboards, I think they're talking musical keyboards. I don't think it's computer keyboards.
No, we're talking musical keyboards.
Yeah.
Things that the band is up there and the guy is standing and going around. That's a keyboard. That kind of.
A UK company called Caterham, I'm not sure how to say it. It's probably Caterham. Anyways, is making an electric sports car in partnership with Yamaha. It's not bad looking.
No,
it's pretty sharp.
This is what I referred to when I mailed my suggestions here to Dave this morning. I said, this is our EV eye candy segment.
Yes. It's nice looking. I don't know if that's my favorite color, but that's still a very nice looking car. 55 kilowatt hour battery pack. If it's light, it's aerodynamic enough.
Yeah, it's like what, a 2,000 pounds, I think, something like that, 2,400 pounds.
Let's see. It's not their first world-class electric powertrain. Subaru bought into Yamaha's nearly 500 horsepower EV motor back in 2021, including equipping its all-electric supercar, the STI E-RA, with them in an attempt to beat the 400-second lap time around the Nürburgring. Yamaha also said that it will continue to produce electric vehicle components, falls in line with its 2050 carbon neutrality goals. That's a nice looking vehicle there. Let's see.
As an old man, I wouldn't be able to get in or out of it. It's one of these slow slung things, but it's sure a good looking car.
Let's see. It looks like an Alpine A110 merged with a Maserati Gran Turismo and a 997 generation Porsche 911. Well, and it's going to have an estimated price of about $103,000, which certainly isn't the most outrageous price I've heard in the EV industry in a while. $100,000+ cars are seeming to be the norm now.
Now, if you would have kept that article right there at the bottom of that article, there were 3 images over on the left-hand side, and that shows you the cars that Caterham is more famous for, and they are sort of the very classic 50s English open, cockpit roadster, which is a nice car. That's the kind of thing you want in your. If you had a car collection, you'd want one of those in your car collection. You'd pull it out and drive it on a nice summer's day someplace,
Right.
But moving on. Hey, do you know Joby? Joby are the guys that making a lot of progress.
The eVTOL.
The eVTOL, electric takeoff and landing aircraft. You know who the biggest investor is? This surprised me, actually.
Well,
who's the biggest investor?
I am not sure who their biggest investor is. I know they have a new investment, but I don't know if that's their biggest investor.
Toyota is their biggest investor. They put more money in the company now. That's that 500 and some million, something like that. But no, they're the largest investor in the company, which is interesting.
Toyota has it's interesting because we don't really get a whole lot of just pure EV plays from Toyota, but they've certainly invested a lot in electric aviation, or at least what would seem like a lot in electric aviation. I mean, they've put up they've invested a total of $894 million into Joby. And this includes this current $500 million. But when we think about them putting $13 billion into a battery plant in the Carolinas, this isn't that big compared to that, right?
No,
but still, it's a big deal to know that they're doing this.
Yeah, here's what I'm wondering. Honda, among the many products that Honda is famous for, not just their cars, not just their little mopeds, that was extremely popular, jet aircraft.
Right. I've seen that.
They have a corporate, really attractive, kind of funny with the engines are mounted on top of the wings kind of a thing. It's a little different. But that's, and of course, then when they do their advertising, they show the conventional line of consumer cars, then they'll show their, race cars, and then they'll show their jet. Is this what Toyota is, trying to also create kind of a similar niche for them? By the way, Stellantis is also heavily invested in VTOL aircraft.
In Archer,
In Archer, So that's kind of again, it surprised me when I saw, they're the biggest investor in Joby. Interesting.
Yeah, so they're tied to the funding is the expectations the companies will form a manufacturing alliance for the first phase of air taxi commercialization, similar to what's already going on with Stellantis and Archer. So the knowledge and support shared by Toyota have been instrumental in Joby's success, and we look forward to deepening our relationship as we deliver on our shared vision for the future of air travel, according to Jobin Bevert, who is the founder and CEO of Joby. Now, interestingly, he probably goes by Joby. It's probably his name because his first name is Jobin.
Yeah, that's what I was. When you mentioned that, that's where that comes from. His nickname
Joby.
Is Joby. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like Joby, Toyota is committed to electrifying transportations with models like the Prius. About 1 in 4 of the 2.6 million cars and trucks that sold in 2023 were full battery electric, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid with a fuel cell. Now, there's no question that Toyota is a leader in hybrid cars. they've been that for a while.
Did you know that they are no longer going to have the Toyota Prime hybrid?
They're just dropping the word Prime. Isn't that it?
Dropping the word Prime. Yeah, it's going to still be a plug-in hybrid. Speaking of which, this is one of the things that Rowan talks about, how much he dislikes plug-in hybrids. They'll find that an interesting why he feels that way, and why the incentives that are made, he thinks it's just the wrong direction for us to go. So anyway.
Well, I kind of get it, because your plug-in hybrids have a 30, 40 mile range. Most people, they aren't going to use more than that. So they have this wasted gas powertrain in the vehicle.
Yeah.
For most of them, it's really not necessary. And it's probably holding people back on the transition. But for a lot of people, it's like that comfort blanket. It's that transition step they have to make first.
Yeah.
And, so that's decent. All right, let's move on to the scooter scandal. The scooter scandal.
The scooter non-scandal, it turns out.
Yeah. So electric scooter giant Gogoro,
yeah.
Okay, cleared of fraud charges after investigation. Now this is kind of because this is a Taiwanese scooter maker that does swap out batteries.
Yeah.
So they're
the leaders in this field. Yep.
And let's see here. So Horace Luke is the founder and CEO who resigned amid accusations of subsidy fraud by the company in its domestic market of Taiwan. So it turned out this was thrown out. There was insufficient evidence. One single component in those scooters, and they're claiming it was a supply chain mistake, was produced outside of Taiwan. And so it was considered to be fraud to be getting the government subsidies.
Yeah.
Now,
and of course, I think in Mr. Luke's case, probably not that caused the resignation. It appears that the company has, while it's been very successful in manufacturing scooters, the whole idea of setting up these battery swap stations is extremely expensive. And they just have, their financial performance has not kept pace with the growth of putting these stations out there. But interestingly, their technology is being used by some other scooter manufacturers as well. So you can or you can take a battery out of your Yamaha, for example, whatever it is. I'm not sure they're using it, but there are some companies that are. You can take that battery out and replace it with the Joby scooter, and the bike will run fine. So it's a pretty smart thing, but they haven't reached sufficient mass yet to be able to make the numbers work. Just like we were talking about earlier about the company that is getting out of the charging business.
Now, this is kind of amazing. They have over 1 million swappable batteries in circulations, hundreds of millions of battery swaps since operations began. Several 100,000 batteries are swapped daily throughout its large network of users. Its black and green battery packs are distributed around thousands of battery swap stations, each of which takes up less than one parking space, can service dozens of scooters nearly simultaneously. The largest swap stations can service hundreds of electric scooters. Real interesting. So I guess you're never charging your scooter with this. You're just always swapping the battery. That's kind of that's the Neo plan too in the cars, but that's.
Oh, and I saw there's the guy that wrote the article, by the way, said, yeah, I just swapped my battery this morning. So he's got experience with this. But I saw a video of this, I think I posted it to either Facebook or whatever, of a battery swap station now for the Chinese buses. This is really cool. A robot, like a big, huge file cabinet, comes up alongside the bus. It reaches into the bus, takes out the discharged battery, pivots and takes the new fully charged battery and puts it back in the bus, and then takes off and goes services another bus. Amazing.
Wow.
All automatic.
Wow. Yeah, that's really fast. We have a question from one of our listeners. Any stats on how much oil is leaking out of ICE engines onto pavements and burned away? Now,
no idea.
Yeah, not really. But one of the things that internal combustion engines burning gas are only about 80%, or I'm sorry, they're only like 20% efficient. So you have 80% of the fuel is basically just heat that's wasted. This is one of the reasons, if you had a way that you could harness and have 100% energy efficiency in gas engines, EVs would never take off because the fact that it would be,
it's called
I don't know.
It's called the Carnot effect.
You'd have
mathematically, you can't get past 25, I think, percent for an internal combustion engine, and 40%, I think, for a compression cycle engine, which is, of course, a diesel engine. You just won't go any higher. Whereas we've got EVs that, with the motor and with the battery conversion, even with the power plant, miles away and to the cables and everything, the thing is still 85% efficient or higher.
Well, that new battery from, who was it, from Xiaomi, or not battery, new engine from Xiaomi, they're claiming 98% efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
And
then
that's crazy.
Yep. So, it's a complete cycle. So basically, here's why I like to talk to people about this. Take a dollar bill, right? I want you to take and rip 80% of it away and burn it. So now you're left with 20%, right? Then I want you to take that and I want you to rip that in half, because then that half that you just ripped away are all of the drivetrain efficiencies, because all these things going around and pounding and things spinning. Take that and throw that away. So what you're left with is 10 cents out of that dollar that's actually doing work, moving the car forward. That's how much difference there is between an internal combustion engine. You're throwing away, literally throwing away 80 cents out of every dollar you spend is wasted. It doesn't do anything to move you and that car forward. It's all just wasted energy. Think about that.
Yeah, it's really a fascinating topic on how much more efficient electric engines are. Even the ones now that are coming out that are, what is it? They're a gas generator. So some of the vehicles are coming out that have a generator, and the generator may be more fuel efficient than the regular engine. But the generator is then powering the electric motor.
Right. Well, it's powering it. The generators is actually charging the battery, which is then charging and powering the motor. So there's a little bit of connection between there. So yeah.
All right, Bill, I got one last article. So Tesla Cybertruck sales doubled in just a few months, and it's kind of weird how they figured this out. There's been a recall over the truck's rear view camera, and because of recalls on the Cybertruck, that's how we figured out how many they've sold. So
154,000.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Tesla issued a recall for 27,185 Cybertrucks.
I was thinking a different number.
Yeah, it was much smaller number, but that's doubled its prior sales since June, when it had a recall that had 11,700 trucks. So that's a pretty big jump. It's added 16,000 sales since June in the Cybertruck. And
interestingly, Consumer Reports has done a preliminary evaluation of the truck, and basically they said, it's okay. It's a truck. It does what it's supposed to do. How they sometimes get into the nitty gritty and find all these little quirks and things. But they said, it's okay so far.
Yeah.
We have,
they don't like Tesla. They never have.
Yeah, but they have been willing or coming out and they'd say, it's got the highest safety rating and it's got the highest consumer satisfaction. That has plateaued and gone down somewhat, I think, over time. But I was surprised. I thought they'd come out because there's an awful lot of criticism about that truck. And I would think they would have, but no, they didn't. It was fairly unbiased.
You hear all these people saying that Tesla's wasting time on the Cybertruck and all this other stuff. And a lot of things that they seem to do seem to be around hype. But, excuse me, it seems to work for them, and they seem to be able to figure out how to make things, make money.
Yeah, well, of course, they came out with their latest financial, third quarter finances.
Yeah.
And this always confuses me, when you see it. I think it really depends on who the writer is, the stance they take, because one guy will come out and say, boy, it doesn't look good. Another guy says, well, they made their mark. That's a good thing. Another guy says, oh, they actually did better than, and is the company going to make it or not, please?
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any fear of Tesla making it. It's just kind of weird how people have all of these preconceived notions about what's going to hurt Tesla. So they went from, this is on the Model 3 and the Model Y. Let's see, between April and June, they sold 439,000. Well, actually, it was really 440,000 Model 3s and Model Ys versus the expectation by analysts of 436,000. So they beat it by 1%, which is, significant. And that was more than what the previous year, same quarter, they delivered 435,000 cars. But in this case, this is only the total of the 3s and the Ys. I don't know if they're not releasing stats on the Cybertruck
I don't know
and the S and the X.
Building those anymore.
They are, but the two main cars are like 90% of Tesla's sales. The other three vehicles are only 10% of their sales. So
I actually saw a new S here not long ago. But X's, it's kind of hard for me to tell the difference between an old X and a new X. So, but Model Ys and Model 3s, you see them everywhere. You can tell which one are the best sellers.
So in July, the Cybertruck was the best-selling vehicle over $100,000. So it was number one amongst over $100,000 vehicles. And that's pretty impressive.
I'd spend my $100,000 on something else, I think. But then I guess if I had, the revenue to justify that, I might think differently. But it seems like a lot of money to spend on something.
All right. Well, anyways, Bill, that's all I had to cover for today, and we've gone almost an hour. We've had a whole lot of people listen to us drone on for the whole hour. So,
hey, thanks everybody. We really do appreciate you taking the time to be with us. It makes it, because I sit back in my little office and I, build a website and I put stuff out, and I don't know if anybody's watching or listening or reading. And this is nice to be able to have real people out there.
The thing is,
respond.
I mean, we EV World gets thousands of unique IPs every day. Yeah. So, I mean, somebody's looking at the stuff, they're out there. It's just really interesting to see the difference, but it's nice having people on the live show too. And we get lots of people who follow up and watch. Anyways, folks, have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Everybody.